On November 7th, 2004, the Baltimore Ravens debuted their all-black uniforms for the very first time. And now tonight, exactly 20 years later, under the lights, the Ravens will wear a helmet that isn't black for the first time in franchise history. Purple rises tonight in Charm City for an AFC North showdown in primetime between your 6-3 Baltimore Ravens and the 4-5 Cincinnati Bengals. Purple from head to toe, a rival at our house. Primetime, all eyes are on this game. How can you not be romantic about football? Welcome into Pregame Live, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. I'm Shelby Lasso, and my partner's back. He's two-time Super Bowl champion and Ravens legend Torrey Smith. And Torrey, all new purple helmets, light-up wristbands that are bigger and brighter than ever before, country music star Chase Rice performing at halftime, and oh yeah, there's an AFC North football game also going on. It's hard not to get fired. It's not hard to get fired up for this one, but these two teams just played on Sunday. How hard is it to play two games in 4 days?
It's extremely tough on your body. You know, the physical aspect of this game is something that people really don't understand. Athletes spend hours recovering. The game is violent. The game is brutal. And oftentimes, you need the full 7 days to recover. But the reality of it is the coaches, they make adjustments. They aren't practicing as hard. They're taking some reps off of you, and you don't lift or do these things that you would typically do to get physically ready for Thursday. So for these guys, they will be ready to roll. And by the way, when your body's sore, adrenaline tells you another thing. The fans are on fire out here right now. The tailgating has already begun. The stadium's full. The energy's electric. And there's nothing like playing primetime ball.
Yeah, not a lot of rest for these two teams, but man, when you look at this matchup tonight, this is important for the division. The Steelers are on top of the AFC North right now, and they have not played a division game yet. That actually won't happen until next week, week 11, when the Ravens are in town. So 6 of their final 8 games are against AFC North opponents. Oh, and the other 2, Kansas City and Philadelphia. But this is a big game for both of these two teams tonight. Ravens win, you sweep the Bengals, and you make their road very difficult moving forward. Bengals win, they are right back in this thing. What's your level of importance for this game tonight?
Oh, this game is a 10 when it comes to the importance level. You talk about the AFC North, right? Rivalry games. You never know how it's going to be. Throw the stats out the window, throw literally everything out of it. There's going to be a battle each and every week. And for the Bengals, this situation for them to be able to lose that head-to-head battle is going to be tough for them to recover from. Yes, the Steelers are 6-2. I think the Steelers stink. I think their 6-2 is their record. I don't think they're as good as their record shows. But the reality of it is they've earned it so far. And for the Ravens, this is just another stepping stone for them to get ahead, because we all know as you get close to the end of the season, each win counts, and we're all going to be looking around trying to figure out where this team falls. We always say control your destiny. Win today, you knock one person out of the way, and you're putting yourself in position to control your destiny towards the end of the season.
Sounded like the fans liked your comment about the Pittsburgh Steelers right there. Well, when you look at this matchup here today, we just talked about how important it is. When these two teams faced off a month ago, Week 5 in Cincinnati, it was a shootout that ended 41-38 in the Ravens' favor in overtime. But things have changed for both teams since that Week 5 meeting. When you look at this matchup here, what are you expecting out of this one?
I'm expecting two powerful offenses, even though Joe Burrow is missing I would consider him their number 1 receiver, even though by name, people may not say that, and T. Higgins. T. Higgins is a big-body physical target. He's one of those receivers where you say he's always open simply because he's big and he's able to attack the ball, and he's a quarterback's best friend because of his range and his ability to make plays all over the field. Jamar Chase, their most dynamic receiver, his production has more than doubled when T. Higgins was on the field. So, yes, that's a loss for them. However, Joe Burrow is a bad man, and what he did last week with those 5 touchdowns, we cannot take that lightly. On the other side of it, this Baltimore Ravens offense, it's who we believe they are. Yeah. And I think this is going to be the day where the defensive line is going to be able to get after their team as well, with some tough people out of it. I don't want to spoil who's not going to be playing, but they're missing one of their best players up front, and the defensive line will be able to get at them. So I'm expecting a dominant performance out of this Ravens team, and really a complete game, offense, defense, and special teams, with the addition of an explosive playmaker.
Well, Torrey hinted at it, so let's take a look at who will be inactive tonight for the Baltimore Ravens. Not a lot of big surprises here, but Isaiah Likely, that dynamic tight end, will be inactive tonight. He had 2 touchdowns in Week 5 against the Bengals, so the Ravens will be without him. And then for the Bengals, you mentioned it, no T. Higgins, no Orlando Brown. So those are the players who are not playing tonight, but let's talk about a player who is playing. From the PUP list to the 53-man roster today, Keaton Mitchell will be making his season debut. That running back, an undrafted rookie last year, rushed for nearly 400 yards, averaged over 4 yards per carry. I think we were all devastated in December when he suffered that major knee injury, but he is back, and we can't wait to see him out there. So with that, let's send it down to the third member of our broadcast, Garrett Downing. And Garrett, this is the #1 rushing attack in the NFL. They're averaging over nearly 192 yards per game, and they just got a little scarier. So what does this mean tonight, having Keaton Mitchell active, and then when you look at the players for both teams who are not playing?
Yeah, when you can add Keaton Mitchell to an offense that's already the best in football, that is a scary thing for the Ravens. He's an explosive player. He's a threat to take it to the end zone every single time he touches the football. This offense didn't need much more help, but they got it with the addition of Keaton Mitchell. Now, I will say it's a much different situation compared to when he really got into the lineup in the middle of last season. At this point last year, the Ravens were kind of looking for their identity from a backfield standpoint. They have that this year. Derrick Henry is leading all running backs in the NFL. He's got over 1,000 yards on the year. So he's the bell cow in that backfield. Justice Hill is having a terrific season as well. So the Ravens have their 1-2 punch. But what Keaton Mitchell gives this team is somebody who can take it to the house every single time he touches the football. The other factor that I think is important with Keaton Mitchell is that I think he can make an immediate impact on special teams. So I'm looking at the kick returns. He may end up being out there as a team starting kick returner in tonight's game, and that may be where he makes his biggest impact early in his return to action. I don't think he's going to be out there getting 15 carries a game. I mean, we might be looking at 2 to 3 carries a game early on for him. But if he can take one of those carries and break an 80-yard run, well, that's a pretty good thing. Same goes for his impact on special teams. Now, in terms of the Bengals' absences, yeah, Torrey hit on it. T. Higgins is a big one. He is a dynamic player for that offense, and not having him out there is a significant blow in terms of what the Bengals can do. But he wasn't out there last week for the Bengals, and Joe Burrow still threw 5 touchdowns. So make no mistake about it, the Bengals' offense is potent with or without him. The other point, too, I was a little surprised that Orlando Brown, their left tackle's not able to go in this game. Of course, Orlando started his career here in Baltimore. I'm sure he would have loved to play against his former team, but he is inactive for this game here tonight. And then lastly, Isaiah Likely, not able to go, dealt with a hamstring injury, didn't practice all week. So you're looking at Mark Andrews. Obviously, he's the #1 tight end. Charlie Kolar also probably going to play a larger role in this game with the absence of Isaiah Likely. So it should be fun, guys. The energy, there's energy down here on the field. Shelby and Torrey, I'm telling you, you can feel it. It feels like a primetime game when I'm looking out here, and the fans are filling in here to M&T Bank Stadium. We're in store for a really fun night.
Well, purple rises tonight for the first time since 1998. The Ravens have a new helmet, all purple, the all purple, on purple, on purple. It looks sharp, and we are so excited, but we're even more excited because joining us next is a guy who just officially retired as a Baltimore Raven. Big Baby is home, and we are going to reminisce on his 9 seasons in Charm City. We'll be right back.
There's no better place to parlay than Caesars Sportsbook. Parlay Builder gives you all the game day action from all across the league. Multiple games, legs, and props, all in one spot. It's so quick and easy, you can keep your focus on the games and your nachos. Or if you're focusing on one game, remember, you can place your same game parlays live during the action. Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards.
So what's next?
We have innovations at 2:30.
Excuse me, what's going on over here?
Nothing.
I love it.
Boss, I got a
lot of nothing to see over here.
You're good for nothing, and don't ever forget it.
We're America's #1 producer of clean, reliable energy with 0 emissions.
That's why I want to thank you all for nothing.
All achieved with wind, hydro, solar, and the nation's largest nuclear fleet.
And that's a big nothing burger with cheese. I can hear the laughing.
Oh, I hear nothing.
DraftKings is teaming up with Vets in Tech. We've raised millions to train veterans and their spouses in today's tech spaces. Now we're teaming up with fans with a free-to-play pool for tonight's game. DraftKings servers will donate $5 per entry up to $500,000 to support Vets in Tech.
The support that DraftKings brings changes the lives of my veteran brothers and sisters.
Visit DraftKings.com/serves. Join tonight's free-to-play pool, and we'll donate $5 per entry up to $500,000 to support veterans.
Welcome back to Pregame Live, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. It's Thursday Night Football in Charm City, and we're all pumped up here because we are now joined by today's legend of the game, a mainstay in the trenches for Baltimore for nearly a decade. And this former defensive tackle officially retired as a Raven just 2 days ago. Brandon Williams, congratulations, first and foremost. What did it mean to you to come back to Baltimore and officially retire as a Raven?
It meant everything to me, honestly. I mean, just coming back to just the home atmosphere, just the feeling, the fans, everything. It was just wonderful. I just knew I always wanted to be in purple and black.
Why was this the right time for you?
Well, I've been 2 years in limbo, and after a while, I was just like, it's time to, get it done or get off the pot. So I just had to get it done.
Okay. What has it been like for you to come back to the town with your family and really kind of reminisce on all you were able to accomplish over your career?
Oh, it's been good, man. I've been back to my favorite seafood spot, went to the Black History Museum, just pitter-patting around, seeing old friends and family. It's been real good.
Brandon, when you reflect on your career, it really seemed like Baltimore was the right fit for you, but that you were also the right fit for Baltimore. Why was that?
Because I was authentic, just like the people in the city. Just blue-collar people, ready to work, working hard, and that's what I did.
You mentioned being authentic. You never lacked personality. You always brought the energy. How did you balance being serious, and this is a job, and you have a job to do out there, but it's also okay to have fun because this is a pretty cool job to have?
I really don't know how I balanced it. I was just being myself, I just knew when we were between those lines, it was war.
Yeah. Well, when you came into the league, you had a lot of veteran leaders that were around you, and obviously you ended up becoming one of those guys. And that means a lot when you play for this defense here. Yeah. What did that mean to you to kind of carry that torch of being one of the great Baltimore Ravens D linemen?
Oh, definitely. It meant a lot. Having Haloti, having Chris Cansey, having Art Jones, having all those people around me, for me to be able to learn from them, take notes, and just put it into my repertoire to be a better player. I mean, it meant a lot just to be able to come out in the field and, just be able to be a leader.
You mentioned you've kind of been in limbo for a few years now after, won a Super Bowl with Kansas City. But what was the transition like for you from going to playing to now watching the games?
It was tough. I couldn't watch the game for a while. I just actually started watching football again this year because it was more like me watching work, So I was always watching and critiquing and be like, well, there's work out there, so maybe I get a call, maybe this, that, and the other. But then eventually I was like, you know what? I started to work on myself a little bit more, and then after I started getting a certain way, I was like, nah, it ain't happening no more.
And that's I love that you brought that up because it shows a little bit of vulnerability there. I don't think people really understand what it's like for a lot of athletes when you transition from playing this game so long to being out of it. Literally, your routine has been the same since kindergarten.
Right.
And then now it's changed. What was that process like for you transitioning away from the game?
It was rough. It was rough, honestly. Just having, trying to give all of my time back to my kids, but at the same time dealing with, me being that warrior and having that warrior mentality, not really having a set schedule every day, having to, kind of grow up and make my own schedule, be my own man, be my own person. It was a tough run, but, I finally got through it, and I'm better for it.
Well, it's prime time here at M&T Bank Stadium. Really doesn't get much better than this. It's an AFC North game. What's your favorite memory from down there on that field?
Favorite memory from down there on that field? Running out the tunnel, obviously, but I ain't gonna lie, that 3rd and 1 stop on King Henry, yeah, that was, I know he running the ball for us now, but, couldn't nobody stop him like I could.
Ooh, very nice.
And when you think about being on that field down there, have you had the opportunity, I know you said you took some time away, have you had the opportunity to check out some of the D linemen on this team right now?
I went back to when I went retired. I was seeing Matabike, Solid Jones, New Bull, and, 98. So I was just talking to them, hanging out with them, just seeing them. They look like a good group of guys, just, making sure they keep it gelled.
Well, it's the #1 run defense in the NFL right now. 47 consecutive games with at least half a sack. They have 28 sacks so far this year. What is it about Baltimore that they just always are solid in the trenches?
I mean, obviously it starts with up top, Ozzie and, Dick Cass and, DaCosta picking the players, picking the team. But then it comes down to the coaches and then also just the dog mentality of the players. It's like when you walk through those doors, it's by osmosis. You just get that Raven in you.
Well, Brandon, the Ravens are debuting their new purple helmets tonight. What do you think of those?
Love it. Need one. I wish I had one when I was here, man.
The same thing.
I told Kaneko, I was like, hey, I need you to send me one of
Here's
them.
my address.
Yeah, here's my address. Go and send that to me.
Lamar Jackson in the purple on purple on purple. This guy on Sunday against a top 3 defense broke the record for most games with a perfect passer rating in NFL history, and those are minimum 15 attempts in a game. I mean, at least 275 passing yards, which is a franchise record 5 games in a row. When you were here, when the Ravens drafted this kid from Louisville, was there a moment when you knew, yeah, this guy's going to be pretty good in this league?
I mean, no flack on Joe Flacco, but when he came in and he started balling out and he started winning games, you just knew that the city was going to love him. You just knew that the team was going to, bring him under their wing and just take care of him.
Yeah, what's it like when you're on the defensive side of the ball? Because y'all spend a lot of time looking at that big screen like the fans, and you're able to look out there and see a player like Lamar Jackson making those plays.
Oh, yeah.
What does it feel like knowing that a guy like that's on your side?
Man, it's like a video game. He's like a joystick out there, man. He's just out there balling, doing his thing, backyard football, but at the same time, he's precise with it.
Well, and you mentioned it. Now joining Lamar Jackson, you talked about the king. I mean, what a season 22 is having. He eclipsed 1,000 rushing yards for the season last week in 9 games. It's just unreal. He has scored in every game as a Raven. You mentioned it. What was it like to defend that guy?
I mean, you definitely have to get an extra workout in. You definitely have to get an extra lift in. You definitely have to make sure that all gaps were closed and solid, because once he got that secondary, it's going to be ugly.
That purple on purple looks different on him, too. Man.
It's clean. I think this needs to be a permanent switch. You wear purple,
Yes.
purple helmet at all times.
Well, let's see how the game goes.
That's the new
but I
home
think it's
No,
going to be.
no. It needs to be anytime that purple jersey is on, period. It needs to be there. It is clean.
Brandon, we talked about it. It's an AFC North game. It's a rival. It's under the lights. What makes AFC North games so different?
Because, I mean, every time you play one of these teams, it's a win or lose. You just have to fight for it. We beat each other up enough here, so when we get to the other teams, it's like, man, it's cake almost. So it's really tough in the AFC North just because you're just playing dominant football.
Do you have a favorite moment in an AFC North game?
Favorite moment, tackling Ben Roethlisberger. That's the favorite moment right there. That's when I knew I solidified myself as a Raven. That's when I knew I could ball. That's when I knew everything was going to be good.
That's what they say. When you make your first play against the Steelers, that's when you're officially. What was your first official moment play against the Steelers?
I caught a game winner.
Touchdown.
I guess that'll do it.
Yeah, my rookie year, so that was a nice.
Okay.
That's when I really was able to understand what it meant. Like, at that point, when I caught that game winner, you go in the grocery store and things, and I felt like fans would be okay. We had 16 games at the time. It's like if we won 2 games, we went 2-14. As long as we beat the Steelers twice, it felt like the city would be okay. And that rivalry, there's nothing like it. I think this Bengals one is definitely heating up for this next generation.
Well, Brandon, one more thing before you go. You mentioned what this team, this organization means to you. But what about the flock? Do you have a message to all the Ravens fans who supported you for nearly a decade?
I appreciate you. I love you. You guys have been the heartbeat of this team, the soul of this team. I mean, we couldn't do what we do on the field every day without y'all just bringing that energy. I appreciate you. Thank you. Love you.
Well, Big Baby, for those that don't know,
or oil change.
Or oil change. Big Baby or oil change, depending if Tyrod Taylor's around. But your nickname is Big Baby. Right now, you're not so big. You're not the same Big
Slim
Baby
baby right now. Slim baby, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, tell us about your transformation just away from the game and getting your body together.
Yeah, man, lost 70 pounds. Actually, what really did it for me was when Tony Siragusa passed away at 55, and I knew we were the same number, same position. And so after I knew I was done with football, I knew I had to get that weight off and get myself healthy.
I love that, bro.
Wearing the 98 when you got here, did that mean something different to you, knowing that Siragusa wore it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just knowing the history of the number, you know, knowing the people that wore it behind me, I just wanted to make sure I paid homage to them every time I step on the field.
Well, Big Baby, I think you did just that. Just your time as a Raven, it meant a lot to these fans, it meant a lot to us, so thank you for everything.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Enjoy retirement.
Oh, definitely will, definitely will.
Well,
I'm going to invite you hunting soon.
Hey, let's do it.
Let's go.
I have the time now, baby. Let's go.
Brandon, enjoy running out of the tunnel tonight. Just soak in that moment as the legend of the game.
I'm going to try not to cry.
All right, fans, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, let's take a look at Keaton Mitchell out there warming up for the first time this season. We'll be right back.
Winning Drive, a legacy for success, where game plans are crafted, defenders of the castle, where you practice and then practice some more. It's your hard work paying off. Play that lives on forever, a defining moment in sports history. The best, not better. Become part of the Winning Drive legacy today.
As a pro athlete with type 1 diabetes, I know that life can get busy. Your health is a top priority, and we're here to help. The Baltimore Ravens, GEHA, and Novo Nordisk are committed to the overall wellness of the flock. Through awareness and education, the Purple Ticket to Health program provides resources that empower our community to take action towards a healthier lifestyle. Start your wellness journey by completing a short assessment and get the chance to win great Ravens prizes. Score your Purple Ticket today.
Are you playing those new Ravens scratch-offs again?
Yep. I can't believe I was chosen to play Pass for Cash, and I get to have this former Raven help me. I could win even more great prizes.
Honey, I think he's only supposed to help you win Pass for Cash.
I thought so too.
Jonathan Ogden, we fold our towels sideways in this house.
Of course.
Thank you.
I'm a huge fan.
Play Ravens Scratch-Offs and you could win Pass for Cash with the help of a Ravens legend or win up to $200,000 instantly.
Pregame Live is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Baltimore Ravens. It's prime time in Charm City, and a division foe is in the house. Ravens debuting purple on purple on purple, a brand new alternate helmet. It's the first new helmet since 1998, and the first alternate helmet in team history. So we are excited to see that out on the field tonight. We're also excited to take a look at running back Keaton Mitchell, who has returned from injury. I talked to his teammate Tavius Robinson this week. They're good friends, and Tavius told me he's pretty sure Keaton is faster this year than last year. Yeah, I see your face right now, Tori. I thought it was hard to believe too, but I'm going to trust Tavius. I cannot wait to see that speedster out there. What is it like getting him back on this team?
Man, it's huge for him to come back to this team. I think this team right now, when you look at Derrick Henry, you see your thunder, your powerful guy there. And then you have Justice Hill, right? You have your lightning. And now you add a little bit of flash with Keaton Mitchell and what he's able to add with his speed, his burst. That's something that not very many people walking this planet have, the way he plays this game. So that burst, you think Derrick Henry's been able to get those yards? And Justice, I mean, the offense is already the #1 offense in the league. Yeah. And now you create more space, you have more lanes, and you have a guy that can take full advantage of like that. He turns 10 into 80. And that's a game changer for an offense that's already rolling.
Well, another guy who makes things happen and turns a little play into a big play, Zay Flowers, last week against Denver. Have a day, Zay. My goodness, 5 receptions for 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's eclipsed 100 receiving yards in 4 of the last 5 games. He actually has a league high in receiving yards since week 5, and he has the most yards after catch in the NFL since week 5. As a former wide receiver, Tori, how would you evaluate the level that Zay Flowers is playing at this year?
I think Zay's playing at an extremely high level. You know, you watch, it's not just his yak ability and making plays, right? I think that's dynamic, and you see that in itself. But I think you watched him run some routes last week, versus one-on-one coverage where he was able to beat guys versus press. He was able to beat them across the field in man-to-man coverage, and that's what this team has needed for so long. And now you watch Zay, he's coming into his own, right? He's such a young guy. I love watching Zay Flowers play football because he makes it fun. He's smiling. He's having a good time. And now that you see the mic'd up series, he's out there laughing the entire time. And just to watch the way he plays this game, you know, he's perfect for this offense, and Lamar Jackson taking advantage of broken plays when Lamar's scrambling out of the pocket and he's able to find windows. He catches it. You have to put your hands on him. I would hate to be the guy that has to follow Zay Flowers around the field in coverage, or even worse, trying to tackle him after he already has the ball. He's as dynamic as they come.
Well, fans, Tori mentioned it. If you want to check out our Wired series and get ready for a good laugh because of Zay Flowers, that's on our YouTube page. He was mic'd up in Tampa Bay, and he's just always a blast and brings a lot of energy on and off the field. And Garrett, we've talked about it. Zay is having a few big games. How much does he want to keep that going tonight?
Certainly there's interest in keeping it going, but I'll tell you this, I talked with Zay earlier this week, Shelby, and he was the Nickelodeon MVP for his performance last game, so we staged a fake interview and told him we were just going to do a normal interview, and then in the middle of that, his teammate Nelson Aguilar came out there and surprised him and presented him with the MVP trophy, and it was a fun moment for him, and I think also it speaks to Nelson Aguilar and just as a veteran leader on this team, and the mindset that he brings as well. But in talking with Zay leading into that MVP trophy presentation, he made the point to me that it's not about him just building off of those numbers that he had. And certainly, look, there's excitement when you're able to put up more yards than anybody else in the NFL since week 5. But I really believe that Zay and Nelson and Mark Andrews and Derrick Henry, the attitude for this group as a whole on offense is that it's not about the individual. That is just not how this group operates, and Zay Flowers is somebody who certainly takes that mindset on. Now look, he's been terrific. I mean, he's putting up yards more than anybody else in the NFL recently, but I don't think he's coming into this game saying, give me the ball, feed me the rock, I need 5 targets in the first half. That's just not how he operates, and I think that that's how this entire team is. And bringing up Nelson Aguilar, one more point on him. As I said, he presented Zay with that MVP trophy this week. He said after the game on Sunday that there's really an attitude of unselfishness that exists on this Ravens offense. In order for the whole pick your poison thing to work, you need there to be an unselfish mindset that permeates the entire team. And Nelson told me that it starts with number 8. It starts with Lamar Jackson. He spearheads the entire attitude of unselfishness, and that extends to everybody else. If you have your star quarterback, who's the best player in football, a lot of people would argue, coming off an MVP award, if he has an unselfish mindset, then how can anybody else not take that same approach? And so I think that that's part of the reason this offense has been so good. And whether it's Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman or Derrick Henry or Keaton Mitchell, whoever it is tonight that makes those big plays, I think that the Ravens are going to have this attitude of unselfishness, and that is going to allow them to continue to be as successful as they have.
Fans, pregame warm-ups are presented by Merit Athletic Clubs. I mean, Garrett, speaking of unselfishness, Nelson Aguilar is hosting new wide receiver Deontay Johnson. He's living with him until he gets acclimated to Baltimore, his brand new city. So, man, talk about unselfish group, and you got it right here in the Baltimore Ravens. And this defense today, this Ravens defense, they're going to have their hands full with Joe Burrow and this Bengals offense in week 5 when the Ravens and the Bengals faced off in Cincinnati. Burrow threw for nearly 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. And he had 5 touchdowns on Sunday, 4 days ago against the Raiders. He has 20 touchdown passes in 2024. What does this secondary need to do today, Tori, to limit Joe Burrow and this air attack?
Well, they're going to have to get to him, right? It starts with the defensive line. I'll say this each and every week. If you show me a good cornerback group, I'm going to show you a great defensive line. If the defensive line are blitzed and with pressure, they're able to get to him, that's going to be able to change things on the back end. But for the receivers up front, specifically Jamar Chase, who's the most dynamic receiver they have, you have to disrupt him at the line of scrimmage. You have to throw off his timing. If he's able to catch the ball with free access, he's just as much of a playmaker with the ball as a guy like Zay Flowers. Now, he doesn't move quite the same, but I watched him down there on the field earlier, getting in and out of his breaks. He's as smooth as they come. He's very explosive out of his breaks, and he has a stronger lower half. So his legs are stronger. He's a tough runner. He's a big-time playmaker and one of the best in the league for a reason. So I think with Marlon probably being the guy that's going to follow him around today, it's a perfect matchup, even though they've had some tough battles over the years, to be able to slow down this offense, and I think they're ready for it tonight.
Well, Tori, you mentioned it earlier in this show. We've talked about it. No T. Higgins tonight for the Bengals. So in 5 games with T. Higgins this year, Jamar Chase over 500 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. Without T. Higgins, those 4 games, Chase has less than 200 receiving yards and only 1 touchdown. Why is his production significantly different when Higgins isn't out there?
It's simply math. You showed me 2 playmakers. I show you a guy with multiple opportunities. However, if you're one playmaker on the field and Jamar Chase, they're able to give you a lot more attention, which is going to limit the big play opportunities that you have. I know people feel like Jamar Chase, because of his numbers, is the number 1 receiver on the team, but you can make an argument that it's really T. Higgins and what he demands and what a force he is physically. He's one of those guys that's always open. Right? Great range, long arms. He's able to make the tough catches, and Joe Burrow can just throw it up to him and give him a chance. And when you have a guy like that on one side, and then you have a playmaker on the other side, that gives defenses fits. You remove one or the other receiver is going to struggle, and that's just simple math. So for this team today, it's going to be, I guarantee you, he will have a lot of safety help. They will disrupt him at the line, and they're going to do everything they can to make it his job tough in terms of getting easy catches and getting rolling early.
And Garrett, this Ravens secondary was talking a lot this week about their performance against Denver and how they need to continue to get better this season. What were Marlon's thoughts this week on the defense?
Yeah, this defense has struggled against the pass this year. I go back to the game they played against the Bengals earlier this season. They just gave up too many big plays in that game, and there's been a lot of conversation about what needs to change, what the problems are. But Marlon Humphrey talked with the media this week, and he really put it on the players and made the point that the players need to make more plays. It's not the coaches, it's not the scheme or anything like that. He put the responsibility on the players that they need to elevate their play, and I think this has been a theme that we've seen. Kyle Hamilton, in his conversations with the media in recent weeks, he said the same thing. And I think that it speaks to the accountability and the leadership that these players have in that secondary. It has not been up to the level that we're used to seeing here in Baltimore through the first 9 games of the season. But the Ravens are focused on improving on that, and they know what it takes in order to have that success. So there is absolutely an accountability that this defense has. And one last point on the defense, the Ravens did make a trade. We haven't mentioned this yet. They traded for Tre'Davious White, a cornerback, previously with the Buffalo Bills, and he's also been with the LA Rams this year. He's a former All-Pro, Pro Bowl player. Trade went down on Tuesday. He's inactive tonight, just got to Baltimore, so not much time to get ready and play in this game. But that is somebody that the Ravens brought in who can be a depth piece for this team and help them for the stretch run here in the second half of the season.
Thanks so much, Garrett. Yeah, Tori, Tre'Davious White and Deontay Johnson, 2 moves that Eric DeCosta made the last few weeks before the trade deadline this last week. What were your thoughts on those moves that he made?
First of all, Eric DeCosta is a genius, right? People need to give him his credit. He made moves, and it didn't cost his team very much of anything. Very little draft capital and really just pick swaps. So shout out to Eric DeCosta, give him his flowers. But when it comes to the playmakers that he's been able to add, it's more so a luxury. You add a playmaker that's proven in this league in Deontay Johnson, who is dynamic, who moves similar to Zay Flowers in terms of when he gets the ball in his hands. You now add another weapon for Lamar Jackson for cheap. And on the flip side of that, you add a cornerback, which has been a struggle. Some of the younger guys who've had opportunities to step up, they haven't quite taken full advantage of it. And now you're able to get a proven veteran who's simply a year removed from being one of the top 10 corners in the league due to his knee injury. So in Tre'Davious White. So now that he's there, you give him the opportunity to get right. This is a better scheme fit for him right here in Baltimore. And now you're talking about 2 moves that were cheap, that are really low moves. And when you think of, like, in the grand scheme of things in terms of what the fans tweeted with their GM minds, who they wanted, but these guys can turn around and play big dividends to this team, and they really fit the Ravens culture and what they offer.
All right, fans, it's a big matchup tonight. It's the Ravens and the Bengals. It's an AFC North showdown under the lights. So what do the Ravens need to do on both sides of the ball to get the job done tonight? We're going to let you know after this break.
For me, football's about being part of something bigger. I was drafted to this team, ready to help Baltimore fly to new heights. And pursue the one goal we all have. That's why I play for you. A flock that's become like family. Together, we can make our city proud.
You got to crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up.
Crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
Love this? Then you'll really like this. Because it leads to this. While this leads to this, and this. 100% verified NFL tickets only from Ticketmaster. Take it to the house every time. Ticketmaster, official marketplace of the NFL.
Mark Andrews here. Probably not the tight end you were expecting in a USAA commercial. My grandpa, he was in the military. He joined USAA, passed membership to my parents, who gave it to me. So I'm in. Are you?
It's prime time at the bank, and we are ready for this AFC North showdown under the lights. The Ravens are 8-0 at home on Thursday Night Football under John Harbaugh. So what do they have to do to keep that rolling tonight? Torrey, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, a handful of other weapons for the Bengals offense. What does this Ravens defense have to do?
It starts with getting after Joe Burrow, right? All quarterbacks want to be comfortable. They want to be protected in their pocket. They want to have time. They want to be there all day. You simply cannot give a quarterback like that the luxury. You have to get to him, whether that's rushing 4 or sending blitzes, which they have been trying to do over the past few weeks, but really all season. But you have to be physical with his number one receiver on the field today in Jamar Chase. He's dynamic. The number one way to disrupt an explosive receiver is to put your hands on him and be physical at the line of scrimmage and even down the field as well. You got to make things tough for him. And you just have to finish and get home. This team has been so close to getting home to the quarterback, to getting their hands on the ball and getting interceptions. The difference between winning and losing in really any level, whether you're the East Howard Jaguars or an NFL team, is finishing when you get there. And this team has had those opportunities, and that's the difference in this defense really getting over the hump, making the plays, and tonight is a great night to do it.
All right, fans, our offensive keys are on hold because I just got word that Garrett Downing is now joined by one of our neighbors, a Baltimore Oriole, James McCann. He's an MLB catcher. So, Garrett, what's McCann up to tonight?
Yeah, Shelby, I'm here with Orioles catcher James McCann, is here on behalf of McDonald's, making his way around the stadium here tonight. So what do you think, man? The energy here is pretty electric.
This is unbelievable. Yeah, big shout out to McDonald's for bringing my family and I here. We got to crush a little McNugget meal before on the way here, some sweet tea, and now getting to be on the field, see these guys and the hype around the Ravens. It's unbelievable.
You play in stadiums all across the country, and baseball, football is a little different, but when you walk into this environment and you can feel the energy here, what stands out to you? Man,
I walked in, I got chills. I haven't played football since high school, but it made me ready to play. Just the excitement, the energy here. Getting to actually be here in person versus watching on TV, it's huge, and I can't wait to see it as the game goes on.
What was your position in high school?
I played a little tight end and DN.
You got any full plays? Are you trying to go find a helmet or something over there? I mean, it looks like you're itching to get out there, man.
I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm a big dude, but when I see these guys on the field, they're unbelievable. I don't know if I could hang with these guys.
Awesome, man. Well, last question. What's your prediction tonight? I mean, I got to believe it's a Ravens win. We'll start there, but what's your prediction for tonight?
I got the Ravens. I got King Henry, 2 rushing touchdowns, and I got Lamar Jackson going off.
Awesome. Well, I think Ravens fans will be quite happy about that. So thank you so much for your time and enjoy the night.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Garrett. Always great to have fellow birds here at M&T Bank Stadium. And I'm going to go off of what James McCann just predicted in my offensive keys. Number 1, Feed 22. I know I said it 4 days ago, but I'm going to say it again because when it works, it works. He eclipsed 1,000 rushing yards on the season last game. And in week 5, he had a smaller workload against the Bengals, 15 carries for 92 yards, 1 touchdown, but 51 of those yards came from that long run in overtime. I just want to see him more involved this time around. In every Ravens win this season, except for that Bengals game, the King has rushed for over 100 yards. Next one is pedal to the metal, and no, that is not spelled wrong. I'm referring to Zay Flowers. I love how involved he's been on this offense, but I want to see it more in the second half, more of a balanced game. In week 5 against the Bengals, he had over 100 receiving yards, and he has that in 4 of the last 5 games, but a lot of that happens in the first half. When you look at the Broncos game last week, in the first half, he had 116 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and he didn't finish with much in the second half. In week 6 against the Commanders, 132 receiving yards in the first half, none in the second half. So I'd love to see a more balanced attack with Zay Flowers, and finally, contain Hendrickson. Defensive end Trey Hendrickson, he's a problem. 11 sacks this season, 4 last week against the Raiders. And Ronnie Stanley, one of the best left guards in the NFL. He had a great game against Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals in week 5, and I want to see that continue again tonight. And man, I know I say this a lot, but get your popcorn ready for this matchup because Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, man, oh man, it's a primetime quarterback clash. 2 of the highest graded quarterbacks this season. Both have 20 touchdown passes this year. The only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL with multiple 5 touchdown games in the last 365 days. Lamar Jackson, 9-1 career record against the Bengals as a starter. Who has the edge tonight, Tori?
Lamar Jackson always has the edge versus any quarterback in the league, maybe even with Patrick Mahomes. He's that dynamic of a player. He is the best player in the NFL. I would say that each and every week. And he proves it each and every week with what he's able to do with his arms and what he's able to do with his legs. If you looked at that graphic, their numbers were similar passing the ball. And they talk about Joe Burrow like he is one of the most elite in the league, which he is. However, he doesn't have 400 more rushing yards like Lamar Jackson has. And then there are plays that aren't numbers, meaning plays that are made throughout the game that Lamar Jackson puts on the Superman cape that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, that is completely puts him above everyone else in his league. So when you talk about dynamic quarterbacks, I think we're lucky when we talk about, I don't want to call it a golden age of quarterbacks, but we're in one of the best eras when it comes to the top guys that are in this league. And again, I will say this each and every week to all fans in Baltimore. You are very spoiled with what you have with Lamar Jackson. Cherish him, love him, and enjoy what you're seeing.
Man, oh man, the lights went out. The light-up wristbands are starting to take over. This is going to be a fun one. And we haven't mentioned it. It is unseasonably warm here in Baltimore tonight. I mean, 60s, 50s.
Yes, this is amazing.
Are we sure it's November?
Listen, I love it. This is what's football weather, all right? I don't know about this cold, snowy, wintry mix that everyone talks about. This is football weather. This feels really good. The fans are going to be all into it out here. I mean, the wind isn't too bad. Most of the time, this time of year up here, we're both ready to blow off this set.
They don't even have the heaters on tonight.
Right. It's a beautiful day out here, and this is what football is all about. Playoff football, have an opportunity to enjoy the best of the bank. I'm excited for our fans to be able to have a nice, beautiful night so they're comfortable, right? Yeah. The only folks that should be comfortable tonight are the Ravens fans. They need to give this Bengals offense the blues when they're on the field.
Well, there is nothing like prime time at M&T Bank Stadium. And we'll be back in 3 weeks after a pair of road games at Pittsburgh and then in LA for the Harbaugh Bowl. But we will return after Thanksgiving. That's December 3rd. And the Philadelphia Eagles are in town. I know Tori has probably had that matchup circled on his calendar. That's a 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time kick. So we'll be here at 3:15 p.m. for Pregame Live. Enjoy tonight's primetime game. Thanks for watching, and go Ravens!